the doctor is in, and the doctor is coming in right now. There she is. I just said the doctor is in, and there you were, Dr. Mo. We just
I made
started.
it. I made it. The doctor's
You made it. You made it. You made it. We were down to the wire. I literally just got out of my car. So
Oh my
Dee's here
God.
today.
I love it.
We love Dee so much. Dee.
Yes, we do.
Hey, Dr. Mo.
Hi. I'm so glad to see you. You look fabulous. How you doing?
Yeah, she's looking so
Oh, I
fabulous.
am fantastic and only gonna get better. How are y'all today?
Magical.
Magical.
I like magical. I'm still in that
Don't
Dr.
be
Mo
anything.
magical.
That's right. Might as well be magic, right? If you're gonna be
I know,
something,
right.
don't be mad. Be magical.
Yeah, you know
I
who was
love
magical
it.
yesterday? Michelle Obama was magical last night.
She
Michelle
was
Obama.
magical.
I love it. You know, hope is, what did she say? Hope is
Making a comeback.
Making
Hope
a
is
comeback.
making a comeback. I love it. And you know, hope is what we have. That's all we have. Hope is all we have.
That
And
is
I love
all we
talking about
have.
the black job. I loved it. She was just great. But
She was so good. I got up and watched it again this morning.
I know I did too. It was on like Good Morning Joe or whatever. It was so great to watch it again. But we are here today to talk about thriving on purpose.
That's right. That's right.
And we've been trying to do this show for a while, Dee. We've been trying to do this show for a while, and we're so glad you're here with us. And this is your show, and you are an amazing blessed, doing amazing things, inspiring so many women. And we just love you, and we're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here.
Aw. Thank
Well,
y'all
I'm
so
not
much for the
else.
opportunity.
So
It's our privilege. That's what this platform is for, is to uplift,
Yeah.
inspire, and highlight what's happening and change the narrative around breast cancer for Black women. So much of the narrative is so negative, and it's always in terms of our mortality, and it's always in terms of how everything is so much worse. But there's really great work that's happening in the community, and that is uplifting and empowering and surviving and thriving and giving us back some of those things that we've been missing in this space. So that's what this platform highlights, is what we
Yeah.
do. And we love to share it and talk about it and let people know what resources are out there, because we have to, how you say, we have to toot our own horn and give ourselves our flowers.
We do. And
Absolutely.
yeah. And you know, thriving is a great word, but you know, we have so many survivors who have come to the other side of this or are still dealing, and they don't feel it. And they feel, right, they don't feel the joy that they need to be feeling. They're still scared, they're still stuck in it. And you got to get above it and get beyond it, right? And even if you're metastatic, you can still thrive. So, you know, what do you got for us? Go, let's help these women. Like, this is, you know, we got to live our best life every day, you know?
That's what I'm talking about. Every single day. Like every
single
day,
right?
I wake up, I'm excited to be alive, right? And I'm not saying that's not to say that other women are not excited to be alive, but there's more to it than that, right? Like I'm excited to be alive because of what I do in the world. And that's what I try to teach other breast cancer survivors. It's not, when we start talking about purpose, right? I read something that I found very profound when we were talking about purpose. And it said, purpose is not what we do. It's the thing that happens in others when we do what we do, right? And
Say
so
that
when
again. Say that again. Say that again.
purpose is not what we do. It is the thing that happens in others when we do what we do, right? And Sarah Jakes Roberts says, we
Wow.
are purpose. And I believe that we are purpose. And I think that
That's
so many
deep.
times
Yeah,
we
that's
walk around and we're trying to find purpose, and what is my purpose and what is my purpose? You are purpose. Your life's journey, your life's PhD is your purpose. Everything that you're going through is your purpose, and you're meant to then turn around and help others who are going to be going through some of the things that you went through, so that you can help them move forward easier, with less effort, right? But so many of us sit on our stories out of fear, out of shame, out of fear of judgment, and all the things. And so, what I want to do is help more of us tell our stories so that we can inspire other women. That, to Ricky's point, this doesn't have to be a mortal thing. Like breast cancer, it happened not to you, but for you, to elevate you to your next level. So I'm always asking, what did you get from it, right? What did you learn from it? And Ricky, your story on the YouTube channel, Thriving on Purpose, was so powerful when you talked about all of the blessings that came from breast cancer. And like for me, it taught me vulnerability, which was something I struggled with for a very long time. I was not a child. I thought it was weakness, right? And what I learned is vulnerability is a superpower. And that anybody who would take your vulnerability and use it against you, they're only exposing themselves so that they can get from around you, right?
I want to lean into this concept of the power of a story, of a narrative. And I guess you sort of touched on it. You almost answered the question before I asked it, but I was going to ask you what story and whose story changed you? Like, give us an example of that. Because there's some folks watching who, especially if you're metastatic and you've been on multiple treatments, you've got chronic pain, you've got loss of wages, maybe the intimacy sucks. Like, there's so many heavy things that people are dealing with. Tell me how. And what are the things about this story and about the narrative that can change you? What is it about it?
We have to look for it first, right? You have to look for the good. And I read something the other day that said people don't see things as they are. People see things as they themselves are, right? And so if we are looking for everything to be wrong, we're looking for the negative, we're looking for the downsides of things. It's so easy to complain about breast cancer and all that comes with it. But it takes strength and courage to look for the good. By way of example, Dr. Mo, when I talk about how it taught me vulnerability and it taught me courage, you know, I share often that before I was diagnosed, how I was hiding in plain sight and hiding my sexuality because I was too afraid to be who I am. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of being shunned. I was afraid of being questioned, people questioning my morals. I was afraid of how it would affect my kids. I was afraid of hurting my then husband. There was so much fear, right, that I was living with. And I want us to recognize that for many of us, cancer is just a symptom, right, of the larger problem. And for me,
Oh,
that's exactly what it was. It was a symptom of the larger problem of not living as my authentic self.
wow. Well, and I mean, I was in a bad marriage trying to, kind of, and I know stress caused my cancer, but you're right. It was almost like you are hiding in it, and cancer freed me from that bad situation. Now, is cancer the best thing? Do you want to have happen to you to free you? But it was such a blessing in disguise. It did free me. It gave me the balls to get over the fear,
Yes,
the
exactly. That's exactly it.
power to take control of my life that I had no control over. I was everybody's victim. I mean, I was everybody's support system. And I had to learn that I was actually nurturing dependencies. I was I was causing people to be dependent on me and then complaining about it. But I let it happen. I got you. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I'll do this. I'll pay the mortgage. I'll buy the car. I'll do the whatever. I'll get the client. And I was nurturing these people, to these grown men, to be dependent on.
Mhm.
And but it took cancer to
Talk
say,
about that.
wait a minute, why are you doing that? What are you doing, Ricky?
Hmm. So many
Same.
people, I think, don't realize that while they think they're empowering others, they don't realize they might be enabling others. And it's hard to see it that way. It's hard to accept it that way, and cancer happens. And I see the comment, they felt free before and then they felt like all of that was taken away from them. And so there's so many different perspectives. And I want to say there's no one right way to feel or to be,
No,
right?
no,
And certainly
everybody has
cancer
to
gives
feel
you
it.
the right to say, feel, and do however you feel and are, and
Right.
and not sugarcoat it for anybody.
Yeah, no,
But
everybody's got
there
to
is that
their own.
that perspective, right? That liberation that can come from realizing, who is it that says it? It is oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now. She's a writer and she says, oh, Toni Morrison, if you want to fly, you got to give
Yeah.
up the shit that weighs you down.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And so one of the things that I've done that has really inspired me to be excited about waking up every single day is helping other breast cancer survivors share their story, but share their story from a place of empowerment, right? We're not trying to bleed all over other women. We want to inspire them, empower them, let them know that not only can life be good after breast cancer, but it can be better than ever before. We are in charge of how we feel, though, right? So if we feel like everything has been stripped away, why? Let's get to the root cause of why we feel that way and how can we overcome it. We can't change something that we don't acknowledge.
You have to go through all the feeling and feel all the feels. Right.
Mhm.
You have to
Absolutely.
feel and let your body and your mind feel all the feels. And I think sometimes we suppress it because we're ashamed or whatever. I think sometimes we hide it. And so it still boggles my mind when I talk to women and they don't want to talk about their cancer. Because I feel like they're hurting themselves. I feel like it's almost like you'll feel better when you get the story out. You'll feel better when
I'm so glad you said that.
yeah, like you're trapped. Like I feel like they're trapped inside of their own story, and it's another burden on top of the cancer to have this secret around it, right? But I feel like
So,
you got to get it out.
but Ricky, what you're speaking to is exactly what I was living also, right? I was afraid to talk about my cancer, not because I was ashamed, but I was afraid that if I gave it too much attention, it would come back. And that's just me being honest, right? Like what you focus on grows. So I thought, I'm just going to pretend this shit never happened.
Right. It's gonna go. We'll make it go away, right?
And maybe it'll just go away. But there was this nagging, tugging feeling that I can only describe as God saying, I got work for you to do, right? Around this story. And I remember sitting in meditation. And whenever I get ready to meditate, I always ask God, okay, God, where do you want me? Where do you need me to be? And I know it may sound crazy to a lot of people watching, but I could hear so clearly God say, I need you on breast cancer because that's where your story is, right? And when I started to tell my story, and I got over the fear of what people would think, I got over the fear of judgment, I got over the fear of putting myself out there, what I found was emotional healing, right? That I could talk about this and talk about all of the blessings that I got from it, that it did help me get out of a marriage that I wasn't happy in, that it did help me and free me and help me live as my authentic self, that it did help me become more vulnerable and allow people to be there for me because I was wanting to be superwoman before. Like Ricky said, I got it. I'll do it. I can handle it myself. I don't need help. I was driving my own self to my chemo appointments, right? And getting home on a prayer because I didn't want people to think I was weak, right? But breast cancer taught me that not only am I stronger than I know, right? But that I can turn around and help women realize that they're stronger than they know simply by sharing that story.
Mm. Well, Dee, tell your story because not everybody knows it. Tell your story.
So I tell people, here's the great part, right? The great part is now I get to wake up to a life that I love, right? I wake up every day excited that I get to help women share their stories and create impact, influence, and income from sharing their stories. I've done several amazing things since having breast cancer. I've run several marathons. I've gotten to travel to amazing places like Tahiti, Bora Bora. A couple of weeks ago, I was down in Napa Valley. I'm trying to get over to Martha's Vineyard with the ladies, right? I wake up excited about what can I create today, but it wasn't always like that, right? Before before cancer, like I said, I was hiding in plain sight. I was married to an amazing man, but I was completely unhappy. And I probably would have still been in that relationship had it not been for cancer, right? And then at age 35, with two children, one, I think she was 4, and my son was 14 at the time, and I got diagnosed with stage 2 inductal carcinoma. And even then I was like, okay, no big deal. I'll do whatever they tell me to do. I went through a lumpectomy, chemotherapy, and radiation, got the all clear that the cancer was gone, and I was going to go on living my life. I was going back in my bubble to continue living the same way, pressed down, right? Shrinking, playing small. Well, then at 38, cancer came back. And this time it was my nurse who got my attention. And she said, you know, Dee, you got to do something about the stress in your life. Now, I don't know how this woman knew I was stressed, because I absolutely wasn't telling anybody about the secrets I was holding. I was too afraid. But this time she had my attention. And I swear it was like cancer was saying to me, I'm trying to teach you that life is too short and too valuable to be anything but happy in your authentic self. Right? So I finally got the courage. Well, I like to say I got the courage. It didn't really just happen that way. It wasn't like I just woke up. I got myself a coach, right? Because I was scared.
You
And I
paid
got
money
it.
to
You didn't ease on down the road, down to see the whiz?
It didn't happen like that. I like to give myself the credit and say I just woke up one morning and changed my life, but that ain't how it happened, right? I got a coach. And my coach asked me a question one day and said, so what's stopping you? And I hadn't even considered that it was fear, right? Like, to me, I was making up all the excuses. I don't want to hurt my kids. I don't want to embarrass my kids. I don't want to hurt this man. I don't want to, but all of that was just based in fear. Fear was covering me like a second skin. But with my coach's help, we got down in the trenches, and I decided to start looking at all the places in my life where I wasn't being my authentic self, where I wasn't being my best self, right? Because my goal now every day is to be the best version of me. Because when I'm the best version of me, I can pour into other people. And what I was pouring from before was an empty cup. But now that I get to live as my authentic self, and I get to know what it feels like to genuinely be happy, to genuinely love and be loved, to have your children say to you, I'm proud of you, Mom, right? Like, it is the most liberating and happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I want other women to know that that's possible, that breast cancer doesn't have to rob you. Like, even the scars that I live with, I remember that I was ashamed of the scars, right? Because I got tired of them poking and prodding on me. So I didn't finish my reconstructive surgery. I was like, just forget the nipples. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to hedonism, some girlfriends and I, and it was a partially nude beach. And I was like, y'all go ahead. I'm not taking off my clothes. I have these scars, right? And I remember this woman walking by me completely naked with one arm. And that was so freeing, y'all, that I took the top off. And you know what happened? It started the conversation. Women wanted to know what happened. So then I was able to share with them, early detection is key. Get yourself checked. We're talking to women who had never had a mammogram, who thought they didn't need to get themselves checked, but it sparked a conversation. So I said all of that to say that there is liberation and freedom in your story, not just for you, but for other women as well.
Wow, wow, wow. And then you got married.
And then I got married to the love of my life. So the love of my life was always there, right? We were friends. She was my caregiver. When I had the big surgery, right? Because the first time I just had a lumpectomy. The second time we did the mastectomy. So when I had my big surgery, she was there changing drains, cleaning wounds, doing all the things. And if I tell you I fell head over heels, I fell head over heels. And we've been married. Oh my God, I'm gonna get this wrong. I always get it wrong. It'll be 11 years this year that we've been married. She's probably in the comments saying it's wrong, but I think it's 11. Because, guys, baby, it's hard to keep up with it when time flies when you're having fun. Like I don't count the years. I just know that every day with her has been amazing. I say all the time that we've been through the things that are meant to tear you apart, right? But it just brings us closer together.
Wow.
Oh,
I love that. I love that. I love that so
me
much.
too. So
You've
what are
been,
some tips for people as they're
yeah,
thinking about, how to go from surviving, scratching and surviving to thriving here with cancer? What's the secret to
your
some good
advice.
times?
Yeah, what's your advice?
Secret to some good times is embrace the journey. Embrace what happened.
I'm gonna put this in the comments too. Embrace,
Mhm.
embrace what happened.
Embrace what happened. Look for the
Mhm.
lessons in it because I promise you, if you look for the good, you'll find the good. Just like
Mhm.
in your marriage, if you're looking for everything that they do wrong, that's what you're going to find. Everything that I don't like the way they chew. I don't like the way, whatever.
Crazy, but
but
you're
if
right though. You're not wrong.
but if you
It's
are
cute when
looking,
you're dating, right? But then after you've been married, it's like, you know what? I can't stand the sound of. Yep.
Right.
exactly. But if you're looking for the good in them, if you're looking for the good in your experience, I promise you that it's there. The fact that you're still here says that there's more work for you to do. When you look at the statistics, and Ricky can rattle the statistics off like nobody's business. I love her for it. But
Uh-huh.
when you look at the statistics that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and some of them don't survive, you'll realize that you're still here for a reason. And I believe that reason is to share that story to empower other women. And that's what I help breast cancer survivors do. Share that story in a way that is powerful and impactful so that other women can know that they can overcome the same things that you've overcome.
Put it in the
So
chat.
we
You
you
are
got that
still
one in
here
the
to
chat?
share. Yeah, you are still here to share your story and inspire other women. Yes.
That's what I believe. I
It's our God
truly,
job. It's our God job. I mean,
it's our God. Yes.
God left us
Yes,
here
Ricky.
for a reason, right?
And so what better way to honor God? One of the things I love about Jill Scott's song Golden is she says, I hope that God is proud of me, right? And what better way to honor everything that God has done for you than to tell your story about how God brought you through breast cancer, how you're still standing, and share the blessings that came from that experience. Like Ricky talks about how she got out of a bad marriage. I talk about how I got out of an unhappy marriage. I talk about how it freed me and gave me the permission to be my authentic self and own my sexuality. I talk about how it gave me the freedom to be vulnerable and allow people to support me and help me instead of always being the one that's giving all the time, right? So there's
Mhm.
so much good that came out of this experience for me. The fact now that I get to do, like Ricky say, my God's work, I get to share my story and not only share my story, but help other women share their stories. If there are breast cancer survivors watching, and I hope that I have a YouTube channel called Thriving on Purpose. You can go there and hear the inspirational stories of other women to know that one of them, Joe Pena, Joe titles herself the poster child for everything that could go wrong. And then she goes on to share about everything, all the blessings that came out of it. Now, if you're the poster child for everything that can go wrong, you could choose to still be a victim. You could still choose to waddle in that. But what she chose is to look at the good that came out of it, the fact that she's still here for her daughters, the fact that she still gets to encourage and inspire her daughters through her strength. Like, y'all, there's so much more to us than just cancer. And the other thing I say is breast cancer is only one chapter in your book. It's not the whole story. There's still so much life left in you. You owe it to yourself to thrive.
Now, what about, because I have to ask the questions that people are thinking who are watching, who are, in the thick of it, right? Can't pay their
Yes.
bills, right? Or metastatic and dealing with, a lot of things that makes it hard to choose every day. to choose the positive or see the positive. What are some things that people can do to help change that mindset? Yeah, I don't know if there's meditation or things you learned in cognitive behavioral therapy, but how do we get someone from here to there? Because a lot of folks are really stuck in the here, and they're like, yeah, I hear you on the there, but I ain't there yet.
Well, one of the things you said, Mo, is to choose daily. And one of the things I want to say is you have to choose moment by moment, right? It's not even day by day, it's moment by moment. And so one of the things that I always ask is, what are you feeding your mind, right? By way of example, when I was going through treatment, if it didn't make me laugh, I didn't want no parts of it. Right? What are you feeding your mind? Who's around you? Because everything that we experience starts between our ears. It starts with our thoughts. So I'm always asking, what are you feeding your mind? When I wake up every morning, the first thing I do is turn on something positive. Then after that, I'm meditating. After that, I'm journaling and thanking God for every tiny little blessing. Because what I've learned is the more gratitude I show, the more gratitude shows up, right? And so for those women who are in the thick of it, it all starts in your mind. It all starts with how you feel about the experience. It all starts with how you show up for yourself.
Say
Mirror
that
work.
again about the gratitude.
Yeah, the
'Cause you slid,
gratitude.
you
Yeah.
slid that one in there. That was slick, but we got to
I
get
know,
that
I
one.
know.
Gratitude. I have a journal. You can't see it's back there, the little brown book back there, where I journal each day. And I used to even do it on Facebook. 3 things I'm grateful for. At least 3. Now I have
Every
many
day,
in this book.
okay? Every day you do
Every single day, 3 things I'm grateful for, right? And it doesn't have to be anything huge. God, thank you for waking me up this morning. God, thank you that I have a warm place to sleep. God, thank you for the financial blessings that I know are coming. They're on the way, right? You have to speak things as if they are. I was blessed enough, and I don't take away from anybody else's experience. I was blessed enough that I was doubly insured when I was going through my breast cancer experience, right? So I don't know what it's like to have the financial difficulties, but I do know what it's like to have financial difficulties, because going through that divorce wasn't easy, right? It was like, so I say that to say, even if you're having challenges, your joints ache, the finances look bleak. I'm in a lot of breast cancer groups. You'd be amazed at how many women have partners who leave while they're in the thick of it, right? I like to say the trash took itself out, because anybody that will leave you when you're in the thick of it, that's the trash taking itself out. But we spend so much time looking at what's wrong that we're missing what's right, right? So even if you're in pain, there's something to be grateful for. God, thank you that I'm allowed to feel this pain, right? Thank you that I still have another opportunity to live, to get better, to grow stronger. Thank you that I am growing stronger, day, moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, right? Like you get to choose. And I know that sounds simple, but it's so true. You get to choose how you deal with this thing.
Hmm. So
Yeah, I
that's
used
one
to
choice
say,
that you still have. Wow, I hear that.
but I used to wake up every day and say, I mean, I still do, is I choose life. When I was on chemo, today I choose life. That was my own personal mantra. Today I choose life. Every morning, today I choose life. And I'm going to make the choices I need to make to choose life. And you make the choices. Like I divorced my husband of 30 years. I quit my business partners. I sold my house. Like I quit my job. Like, but I made decisions to choose life. And every time I wanted to kind of rationalize an action of craziness, like the day my doctor told me I had 2 years to live, I went out and bought a sports car. I bought a Z. I traded my I came home with this 2 years with a Z, and my kids are like, there's 3 of us in this house. We can't fit in your car, Mom. I'm like, well, whatever.
This
Work
is
it
for
out.
me. But Ricky, so the
I,
choices that you made, they weren't easy, right?
no, they weren't easy, but you know what though, Dee? They were easy. They were way easier than you would think. They were
Mhm.
almost too easy, because I was so caught up in taking care of everybody and making everybody feel better. I like that all went away. I'm about Ricky. And I really was about Ricky and Haley because I knew I had to take care of my kid who's in college. But anything else, if you weren't bringing me joy, it had to go. I looked
I
at
love
everything.
that.
I looked at everything as another cancer. If you're not bringing me joy, you're a
That
cancer.
was powerful.
If you're not bringing me joy, it's a cancer. And then I could say, all right, are you a cancer or not? Like, okay. And I could make choices based on what I thought was a cancer, what was giving me joy
I
or
love
not.
that. I love that. I'm
And,
taking that on. Just
and
moving forward, looking at things like a cancer. Because one of
Wow.
the things that I'm always saying is that if it disturbs my peace, it has to go.
yeah, there you go.
Right.
My peace is non-negotiable. My
Right.
peace is non-negotiable, and anything that wasn't giving me peace has to go, even
That's
now.
right.
Right. Like I just drove home in traffic. I don't drive in traffic. I had to go pick up my grandkids. And I was in the car like screaming, but I don't drive in traffic. I don't choose that. I choose
Right.
to go someplace at a different time of day. I try really hard to make the choices that the stuff I don't like. If it's not bringing me joy, I'm not gonna do it.
But and so for a lot of women, they don't make those choices out of fear,
Why?
right? They think that the choices are going to be too hard. But when I walked away from my six-figure salary to do my God work, that was a hard choice for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You're-
going to that job that I hated was harder.
Right.
It was a
So
cancer. It was a
it was a
cancer.
cancer. So I think it was Les Brown who said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Because like Ricky, now I have the freedom
Mm,
to say, I'm not driving in traffic,
mm,
right?
mm.
I have
Come
the
on with
freedom to
that.
say, I'm not going into anybody's office 6 days a week for 12 hours a day. I'm not doing that anymore,
Right.
right? And did I have to make some lifestyle choices? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
the joy that I get to feel now in doing my work, my God work, made it all worth it. And so for the ladies who are in the thick of it, who feel like it's not going to get better, who feel like this is hard, it is hard. But you were given this life because you're strong enough to live it.
Mm,
Yeah.
Right. And so look at the
yeah.
blessings that are still there because they are. One of the things that Ricky said is, I choose life. I choose gratitude every
Mm.
Mhm.
day. I
And
choose
we
to
can
be
do hard
thankful.
things, right?
And we
That's
can do
right.
hard things.
We
And
were
there's
built for
Stephanie
it.
Walker's in the comments talking about, she's been, surviving metastatic breast cancer for 9 years.
That's
And
a blessing.
she's a force. She's a
Yes, she
force.
is.
A force in the advocacy world. She's a force with the Metastatic Breast Cancer Alliance. Deal with a
Mhm.
lot of crazy white people. Sorry.
Yeah. If you don't know her story, that is a story to know because
Yeah.
working in healthcare, living in a Midwest area with access issues to things like clinical trials, and that her story is so powerful. When I think about all the different elements of it, and it's so relatable, and it could be any of us. And I think that that's one of the things that when I hear your stories, and one of the beautiful things about telling our stories is that people start to realize that they're not so alone, because cancer can feel very isolated, very alienating, and you want to keep it a secret because of shame, blame, worry. You don't have all the answers, all the reasons why people choose not to tell someone about their diagnosis. But when you hear people tell their story and you realize, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, wait. Oh, that happened to you? Oh, you had that side effect too? Oh, you stay up at night worrying about this thing too? Or how did you get through? And that, hearing those lessons and feeling togetherness of the Blessed community, I think is what makes it so powerful.
We have
And
such
telling
a
your story.
great sisterhood. We have such a great sisterhood. I mean, I
Absolutely.
love our Talk Saturdays because that's what we talk about. Like, wait a minute, you had that happen to you too? Wait a minute, I took that drug. I had that side effect. And that just, without having to explain it, without having to like give you 50 examples of what it feels like, it's just like, I got you. I had that. I feel it. I got you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's empowering. That's the other thing I want women to know is that the story that you're sitting on, that you're too afraid to share or you're hesitant to share, doing so is empowering. That's what I experienced for myself. And when I share my story, to hear other women go, wow, I didn't know that. Like there are a lot of women, people who wouldn't know that I'm a breast cancer survivor until I reveal it. They say, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that about you. Right. And before I was trying really hard for people to not know that about me, right? Like it was just a chapter in the book. Let's put it on the shelf. Let's not talk about it because we don't want to give it any energy. But now I talk about it, like I said, from a place of empowerment, from a
Yeah.
place of creating connection, creating
Yeah.
community for
Yeah.
emotional healing, right? Like
Yeah.
talk about your story for all those reasons.
Yeah. And it makes you feel better. It makes you feel better. And you know, it's a horrible thing, breast cancer. I mean, it's a horrible thing. Like, I mean, just thinking about it. And it's so funny because, you know, my friend Allison, she had such pain before she died. And we used to joke about that 1 to 10 scale. Like, what's your pain today? I go with her to chemo, what's your pain today? And I mean, and at the end of all, she says, Ricky, there's no number for this pain. But they pull out the stupid sign with the smiley faces on it. That is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. How do you know? Like, okay, I feel like 6. Well, what is 6? What does 6 feel like to you? Like, I can never figure out the relativity of it. So if I say 6, is my 6 the same as your 6, doctor? Is my 6? I mean, like, what does that mean? What does a 10 feel like? Dude, how do you know? Right? Is it going to get worse than a 10? Like, and it's so funny. We used to joke about it, but I started thinking about it. Do we ever have a scale for joy? Like, is your joy 10? You know, like joy a 1 to 10. Like, let's give yourself a joy rating every day, but still, it's still all relative. But I say it's off the charts every day. You know what I mean?
Every
But
day.
there is no number for my joy, right? But I mean, just even the little things about people think about it. I was working on some copy for a clinical trials brochure. I went in the pharma company I was dealing with. I was telling their baby's ugly today, which I do almost every day, tell somebody their baby's ugly. But the word was the word that described the constant cancer was advanced. What was it? Advanced some kind of tumor, like advanced something. But it was like, what does that mean? What does that mean to the patient? I don't know what that means. Does advanced mean metastatic? Does advanced mean I'm dying? Like, oh no, it was advanced solid tumor. So you know what that is, Mo. I didn't know what that was. And like, you're trying not to scare the patient. You're scaring the
Right.
patient.
Yeah.
That mean, do I
We
have
do a lot
advanced?
of that.
Yeah. And like, it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary.
And one of the things that can feel empowering is by just asking those questions, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't feel in control of your story and your narrative when people are talking around you and
Right.
talking about
Words
you and
that you don't
talking over
understand.
you, right?
Mhm.
And so I think sometimes bringing it down to a level that you can understand and just dealing with the issues, you said this sort of similarly, Dee, dealing with the issues of today.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're asking someone, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling in this moment? Not what do you need, but what can I do for you now?
Right
What can I
now.
do for you
Right.
tonight? What do you need in the next 2 days, 3 days, whatever? Like being really specific about your one, your diagnosis, two, your treatment. So you understand and you know exactly what's going to happen because it's the fear of the unknown that creates so much anxiety, I think, for so many people. You don't know why this happened. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what the treatment's like. You don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know if you're going to make it. You don't know what you're going to eat for dinner tomorrow. All the question marks. And so becoming a master of information to the best that you can, I have found helps a lot of people who really suffer from the anxiety of all of this, and part of that is it's chronicling your story. It's journaling, it's blogging, because that does help you to feel, one, empowered. Two, on top of things. Three, it gives you something to look forward to as you think about sharing this and who your audience is, right? Now you're thinking about somebody outside of yourself. And
Exactly.
that's where it is, Dee, right?
That's
Yeah.
where it is. One of the keys to fulfillment
Yes.
is giving back to others, right? And so when we talk about those who are in the thick of it, give back to somebody else, right? And as hard as it may be, we talk about, I went to a webinar of one of my clients where she was talking about the benefits of physical therapy for breast cancer patients. Learned so much stuff that I didn't know, y'all. And the thing is, when you're in the midst of the pain, when you're in the midst of the depression, the anxiety, and all those things, moving your body is one of the best things you can
Best
do.
thing.
You
Yeah.
just have to push yourself to be willing to do it, but it
Right.
will help with the pain. It
It will.
will help with the anxiety. It will help with the depression, right? Moving your body is one of the best things we can do for ourselves. We just have to be willing to push ourselves beyond the limitations that we place on ourselves because we're dealing with this thing.
Mm.
Yeah. I say take a walk. Take a walk.
Mhm.
Need a gym
Yeah, let's
membership.
put that in the chat, Ricky, as we're chronicling, we're writing down these tips. So
Yeah.
what other tips do we have for people? Because what I'm seeing, we have choose life moment by moment. We have, choose gratitude. I have, let's see,
Journaling, meditating,
journaling.
fe-
Talk to me about
listening to.
meditation. What kinds of
Talk about
meditation
that.
and what's that? Yeah.
So for people who have never meditated before, because that's where I was, right? And I'm like, okay, I can't calm my mind enough to meditate. That's where I was anyway. So I started out with guided meditations. You can find free guided meditations on YouTube based on whatever you're dealing with: high anxiety, depression, um, your finances, your health, your love life. You can find guided meditations for anything you're dealing with in the moment. And that's how I started. And I put on a quick 10-minute meditation, and I swear what it does for you mentally is amazing. It's amazing. And when we start to think about, Ricky and Mo, that everything is energy. We're energy. Everything is energy. So how we vibrate matters. And how we vibrate is based on what we're taking in, right?
Mhm.
By way of example, I love some true crime stories, right? Would sit up and watch true crime all day on a Sunday without realizing how it was affecting my vibration and how it was bringing me down, right? But if you vibe high and focus on those things that are positive, listening to positive sermons, listening to positive guided meditations, who's in your ear, all of that stuff matters.
It
It
does.
Talk
all
about that.
matters.
Wow.
It really does. It really does. I think that's why, I'm a music maniac. Like I really want to be a DJ in my next life. But
You could be one in this life. I think you'd be
I am
great.
a DJ. I am the family DJ. I am the DJ. But it matters what you listen to. Like I listen to some of the music these kids are listening to and then going out and shooting people. Like what's in their head? Like what are they? It's just not, you have to, everything that you feed into your body is going somewhere.
Yes.
Whether
And
it's,
low vibration is just a gateway to more sickness and
yeah,
disease,
yeah.
right? So I read a whole, where's my book? I don't know where it is, but I
You
read a
guys hear
book.
my granddaughters screaming behind me. They're my three
No,
granddaughters
We
in my
can't
house.
hear it at all. But
They're-
it's funny. I have a joke. I say the music sounds like end times, doesn't it? It sounds like war. It sounds like bad
yes,
things are coming.
I
It
know.
sounds
yes.
so negative.
It's
It sounds like the end of days.
I know
it's
they're
the
3, 5,
same
and
way.
7. I don't know what's going on up there, but whatever. They're still alive. There's no blood.
Yeah,
Call me
they'll
when
be all
they're
right.
dead. Right. They'll be all
Nobody's
right.
bleeding.
Nobody's bleeding.
Mhm.
I'm good.
But no, I think it all matters. And I think that it's all relative. And I think that for many of us, we don't take the time to recognize what we're putting in our bodies. The foods we're putting in our bodies matters.
Yeah.
It's about how we feel. If we're taking in too much sugar, it's going to make us sluggish. It's going to mess with your mental health, right? All of those things matter. So pay attention to what you're taking in mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Hmm. And that's plenty to work on right there, because I mean, if you just start there every day, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to focus on the negative. You're going to be so hyper focused on journaling, finding a positive, thinking about things you're grateful for, getting out and doing some movement, looking at your meals and your mindfulness and all of those things that it can be consuming, I think, to do that, and consuming in a good way.
Right.
And if you just have to throw, I don't have a better word for it right now, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but if you just got to throw your pity party, go ahead. Have your moments, but you can't stay there.
Don't stay there. Have your pity
I
party.
love that because there's a thing called toxic positivity, right? And you know those people who are just so positive, you just want to smack them, and they make you feel like you don't have the right to have a bad day, right?
Right.
And I think that we as especially as Black women, the first word that comes out of our mouths is either fine, or if you're super ultra churchy, blessed and highly favored, right? When you might
I'm
not feel
fine.
any of those
I'm
things.
fine.
You may feel
I'm fine.
broken, you
I'm
may
good.
feel you may feel sad, you may feel depressed, you may feel confused. There's a lot of different words besides fine, but we use fine for everything because we've
Everything.
trained ourselves that
Everything.
it's not okay to be anything other than fine. Let's talk about that for a moment. Is there power in that level of candid and vulnerability, I guess?
Yes.
Well, I think
Yes.
cancer made me lose my filter. So
Mm.
I'm only fine when I'm really fine, because it all comes
Mhm.
out. My mother used to call them little frogs that come out of my mouth, but I'm gonna tell you how I feel. And that's only because of cancer, since cancer.
Wow.
When I'm
Yeah.
not fine, the way I describe it is I'll say I'm having a low energy day.
Mm.
My energy is low, meaning I need to recharge. I need to get back to I need to get back to the things that lift me up and build me up because my energy is low. And I allow myself to feel how I feel when I feel it. If I feel like I need to have a good cry, then I'm gonna have me a good cry, right? If I feel like I need to have me a good 5-minute cussing session, I'm gonna have me a good 5-minute cussing session. Right?
Mhm.
But I know that I can't stay there because that's more toxic for me than positivity.
So you got to get it out.
You
Once
gotta
I get
get that.
I'm good.
I love it. She said that's more toxic than positivity for me. You're staying in a
Yeah.
negative space. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm in this.
Hmm.
absolutely.
So tell us some of the success stories of your counseling and some of the things that you've seen in your experience as you've been counseling folks and helping coach people through this. Tell us some of give people some hope about what to look forward to and how that process works. What if somebody did want a session, or is it one session? Is it one and done? How does this all work?
Yeah.
So I have a 6-month program called, wait for it, Thriving on Purpose, where I help women heal through sharing their stories, right? And take, for instance, my client Karen, who I hope is watching. She was going to be on tonight. But Karen recognized that where she found power and fulfillment in is finding her voice. She recognized that before cancer, she didn't have a voice, right? And she's a nurse, no less. And she just kind of went along to get along for her medical treatment. And she realized that that was the same way she showed up in her life, right? But then through our work together, she found her voice. And now she teaches other women how to find their voice, right? Or take, for example, my client watching, who realized that everything about her lifestyle she wanted to enhance to create sustainable, healthy lifestyle changes for herself. Now she teaches other women how to create sustainable, healthy lifestyle changes for themselves, right? So that, by way of example, she teaches them how to eat foods that are high in antioxidants, right? I call them cancer fighting foods. She calls them high in antioxidants. I like cancer fighting foods.
Right.
Right. She teaches them the importance of moving their body and finding ways to move their bodies that they love. Everybody ain't gonna be a gym rat, right? For you, it may be line dancing. For somebody else, it may be bike riding. For somebody else, it may simply be going for a walk, right? So, and then I have another client who experienced heartbreak and learned to choose herself through her breast cancer journey, right? Because she realized that her relationship was toxic. And in her words, I'm not about to be fighting for my life and fighting for you, right? So You know, it's
How about
about
that?
sharing.
Wow. Can't more of us choose that? Oh, hi, Pumpkin.
Who are you? What's your name, little girl? What's your name?
I like that smile.
What's your name,
Mhm.
little girl? Heart. This is Heart.
Oh
Hey,
my gosh,
Heart.
look how big Heart's getting.
I know she's so big, right? Are you so
She's a
big?
young lady.
I
She
know. I
is
know. She's not a baby.
gorgeous.
The baby child, right? Are you the baby
Mhm.
child? This
But
is
to
what
Mo's point,
I enjoy. This is what I live for, right?
Yep, there it is.
I just
Right.
have a grandpuppy.
I have one of them. She's here too. The grand
Yep,
all over here, but
I love it.
you're hungry. We're gonna go to dinner in a minute, okay? Can you hang in for a few minutes? I'm hungry. Go get some.
Tell her I know the feeling.
You know where the
Mhm.
cookies are. Go get the
It's that time. Oh, see, dessert first. I love it. That brings you joy, right, Ricky? Dessert first?
Yeah, and at Debbie's house, there's no rules. There's no bedtime. There's no food rules. Do your thing.
Now, what kind of parent were you? Were you full of rules as a parent too? Or did you wait
No,
until
you
you
know,
got the grands to relax all the
I
rules?
know. I really wanted to. Well, you know what? Amanda and Haley are 7 years apart, so they were both kind of only children. When Amanda went to college, Haley was 11, and
Mhm.
so she had the whole house to herself. But my rule was straight A's. You get straight A's, you can do whatever you want. You get a B, you don't live here anymore, so find another place to live. So that was my rule.
There it is.
It was as simple as that. You want a car? Okay, you can have a car. You can have whatever you want, but got to get straight A's because there's no B's in this house.
I
And it
love
worked.
it.
Wow.
They survived me. So, but anyway, I
That's what I
wasn't
say. My kids survived me too, Ricky.
right. They survived me, and now they
They
made me
survived me. You complain about my parenting, but you survived.
right. You
Mhm.
survived.
She said, but
Yeah,
did you die? Nope, you did
you know,
not.
and you made new babies. You made more babies, right? So you're good. So,
Wow. Wow.
but I think
So,
this is
so,
advice for people to just. What
mhm.
I love about this is that it gives you freedom because I think why are we consumed with not being who we are? Why do we have to have cancer to get us out of it? People don't. But and even once we have cancer, like this is your opportunity to take it and be who you are and live your best life. And there's still fear. You know what? We still get up every morning and have the fake foods and say, okay, what is this really going to do for us today? But I don't feel like that burden of like trying to prove myself again or like it's gone now. Like I feel free.
Mm.
That's what helping you do. People do, G, which is so great because it's
Mhm.
really like it is the good in this battle. It is the good in this fight. It's
So
It's
let
people.
me
moving
ask
into
you
the story.
this.
Yes,
There's a
ma'am.
lot of coaching happening in today, right? And there are a lot of people who are coaches. What's a good coach look like, feel like for this journey? How do people source one and find somebody that is a good fit for them?
And here's what I would say. It's kind of like dating, right? You'll know when you're with the person you're meant to be with. It's kind of like dating because just because that coach isn't for you doesn't mean that that person is a bad coach. It's just not a good fit for you.
Right.
So finding a good coach is like finding a good therapist. Try them on, right? Get on a one-on-one call. I always invite them to a free one-on-one session first. Let's see if it's a good fit to work together. Let's see if I'm the right person for you. Because you may not like my coaching style.
And what is your coaching style? Tell us a little bit more about that. What do people expect?
I
Is it
like
all
to,
sunshine and roses, or you got to get tough with them sometimes?
oh, you got to get tough with them sometimes. You got to say, you're not taking the action, right? And you always start with love, right, Dr. Mo? I love you, and you're not taking the actions.
I love you, and see, that's important. She didn't say I love you, but you're not taking. She said I love you, and you're not taking
Yes,
the action.
yes, and
Yes,
right, yes,
and
Yes,
yes, and
and
yes,
so
wow.
I say try the coach on for size. For me, I offer free one-on-one sessions so that we can get to know what your goals are, right? What standing in the way of your goals, and I lay out a mini plan during that one-on-one session to get you into action. And then if it's a fit to do more work together, I invite you to sign up for my 6-month program and let's work together. But I love love what I do. Ladies, it lights me up. My wife gets tired of me telling her every day. I'll just holler from the office, baby, have I told you today how much I love what I do? Oh, I
That's
love
powerful.
it. It is,
That-
it is. And so I wish it for everybody walking the planet. Find something you love doing. Because I
mm,
spent 30 years doing something for a paycheck, right? Like this was what's putting food on the table, what's putting gas in the car, what's keeping a roof over my head. But I hate going here every day. And I didn't know that I could create a different life for myself
right.
because this was the path that I was just on,
Right.
right? And I am very clear that had it not been for cancer, I probably would have been on the same path. I would not have rocked the boat.
It's okay to
I'm putting
rock the
this in
boat.
the chat. Cancer could be your reason for changing your life.
Yeah,
It absolutely can.
and I'm saying it's okay to rock the boat.
It is okay to rock the
We need
boat.
to turn it over. I turned mine over, right?
I turned mine over, and it was the best decision I made for my life.
Mm,
We didn't drown, right? We turned the boat over, we didn't drown.
right.
Look at
Right.
us. We backstroking, Ricky.
I know, right?
I
Right.
love it. How can people reach you? How can they find
Yeah,
you
how
and
can
connect
we reach
with you?
So I have a Ricky, Dr. Mo, can you drop this link in the chat for me? I would love
Mhm.
for anybody who wants to take me up on a free session. They can click on this little link.
I'm got it put right here.
Perfect.
I dropped it in the chat. You can click on that little link and book a one-on-one session with me. You can always go to my website. The website needs work. I'm just being honest, right? It's old. But
All
the
good.
website is dmanuelcloud.com.
I'm putting it in the
All
comments.
good. And then are you on any other socials and people follow you on?
I am everywhere. I am TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all of those places. It's I am Dmanuel Cloud.
Wow. Okay. We're putting those in the chat and making sure that people know that they can and how they can reach you. So end of summer is upon us. What tips, what you got? Give us one thing to talk about, look forward to for the fall. What should people take away from this session?
If you take nothing else away from this session, gratitude. Gratitude is the gateway to your happiness. It's the gateway to abundance. It's the gateway to fulfillment. And find a way to give back to this community based on your experience. And if you're confused about how to do that, it would be my pleasure to sit down with you and show you just how to do that.
There it is. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
love you.
powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much
For
Thank
joining us
y'all.
and for sharing your positivity and for giving us some more of the narrative of how cancer can be transformational in the best ways. Because
Yeah.
In the
we've
best
seen,
way.
we know, right, how cancer can be transformational in ways that we never imagined, didn't ask for, didn't want, didn't desire. But there's some things that can come out of this, and there's beauty from the ashes. So we want to definitely highlight your work and thank you for doing that and showcasing that and for showing people the way to find that beauty from the ashes. So thank you for being here. And we just love you. And we every time you come on.
I know you're
I
such a
love y'all. And I'm going to be, y'all have my word. I will be at the vineyard next year.
All right.
So
Well, we'll see you there. I'm gonna be there too.
we haven't talked about this yet, but Mo, last week we did 54 scans at the vineyard
Mhm.
and we found 3 cancers,
Well, three masses, right?
masses. You heard about
Yes.
this?
Yeah.
And we had a great presence. So I already booked our place next year. We're gonna do 2 weeks of programming at this fabulous house on Tuckanuck Street, right in Oak Bluffs, right by the Inkwell. So
Listen, I'm coming next year, so make sure you got a room or a couch or a
I got
sleeping
a
bag for me.
yeah, we're
Okay,
gonna
air mattress, something.
That's
I'm
right.
got all
That's
the
right.
things. We got all the things, and we're gonna just have a bigger
Okay.
presence. It was such a beautiful experience. We were on these wonderful Black
Mhm.
people on the vineyard taking over the island, and we're gonna blow it up next year and save
That is
someone.
wonderful. Wow. And I think if you missed it, we had a show on Sisters on the Vineyard, and we highlighted some of the great work that was happening there by Dr. D. Shout out to Dr. Kodai Dakota and
Yeah,
yeah,
Dr. D and
also Dr. D.
Dr. Renee, and she brought a great group
Mhm.
of doctors and women to our Sisters on the Vineyard event, and I just talked to her, we got on air, and we're gonna blow it up and make it even bigger next week and do it for 2 weeks. So
All right. That's wonderful. We hope this has been relatable and reliable and real to you, because that's what we do here every Wednesday night on blackdoctor.org. And we are so, so thankful to the platform, to the sponsors, to our guests, to our blessees, to our hosts. And, we hope to see you next Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Thank y'all ladies so much
thank
for the
you.
opportunity.
Bless you,
There
love.
it is.
Love
Bless you,
you.
love.
Love you so much, Mo.
Love you. I love you too.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.